Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday and time for Take 5. I hope you had a great Labor Day yesterday and maybe rested up. I didn't have a day off. I labored on Labor Day, but it doesn't matter. Let's get into the message this morning. So, we're talking about the story of Nehemiah, the book of Nehemiah in specific. But yesterday we talked about some of the history of that was going on at this time, and we talked about actually the entire book of Ezra and part of Nehemiah. And the title of our message this week is just simply, it comes straight from the mouth of Nehemiah. It's arise and build. Arise and build. Now, the first thing you got to understand when we're talking about this story is that while the temple, we talked about this yesterday, while the temple has been rebuilt in Jerusalem, the rest of the city is still lying in ruins. It's still lying in the rubble and in the destruction that it was left in when Babylon came in and took them captive. As a matter of fact, Nehemiah actually says in chapter 2, verse 17, "Then I said to them, you see the trouble we're in, how Jerusalem lies in ruins with its gates burned." So the temple has already been rebuilt. They did that over the course of time. It took a lot of time, and they faced some opposition with different kings coming into power and telling them, stopping the work and stopping the rebuilding process. And then other kings would come in and give them permission to rebuild. And it was just a lot of hoopla. But finally, after several years, they got the temple rebuilt. But the problem is the rest of the city. The walls of the city, the houses that was there, the infrastructure, the roads, the gates, everything in this city was lying in ruins. And everybody recognized that this was a problem. I mean, if I came to your house and broke in and just made an absolute mess and demolished everything and stole a few things and just left a complete mess, when you got home that day, you would recognize that something was wrong. And they did. They recognized that this was a problem. They were even ashamed and embarrassed that this was their city. You got to think, Jerusalem was their main, it was like their capital city. It was their holy city. It was the most important city in their nation because it was the city where the temple of God dwelt. It was the city where the presence of God rested. And so now here they are, and they've been placed inside this nation with all these other nations. They've been held captive basically as foreigners in this other land. And the city, their holy city, the city that their God resides in, has just been left in a mess for a long, long time, and they're ashamed of it. Nehemiah said in that same verse, he goes on to say, "You see the trouble we're in, how Jerusalem lies in ruins with its gates burned. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem that we may no longer suffer derision." Now that's a word that some of you may not understand, and here's the definition of it, straight from the dictionary. It's very simple. The word derision means contemptuous ridicule or mockery. So Nehemiah says, let's rebuild this city so that all of the people around us, all of our neighbors and all of our enemies, don't have any reason to make fun of us anymore, to poke fun at us or talk about us or make fun of our God. He comes in and he says, we've got to rebuild this thing. We've got to quit giving all of our enemies ammunition to poke fun at us and to make our God look less than. The truth is, when you study history, all of these cities in these nations, these great cities, would have defensive walls around them. As a matter of fact, this wall that Nehemiah had the people rebuild was not the main wall around the entire city. This wall was just about 2 miles long. It was around the main temple area. It wasn't all of the walls that were around Jerusalem. But in ancient times, a city or a nation would take great pride and almost honor in the greatness of their defensive walls. Think about Jericho. They were renowned. Why? Because they had great defensive walls. They almost took pride in this fact. So here Jerusalem is in ruins. They've rebuilt their temple, but The rest of their city lies in ruins. They are ashamed. They're embarrassed. They're not proud of what's going on. And here's the crazy thing to me. I studied this story. I studied the history of it. And from the time that they finished rebuilding the temple to the time Nehemiah came in with his plan to start rebuilding the city was 70 years. So these people had started the rebuilding process in a sense with the temple, and then they just stopped and they waited 70 years to do anything else. They were embarrassed. They were ashamed. They felt condemnation because the reason this city lies in ruins is because of their initial sin and rebellion against God way before Babylon even took them as exiles. So they're ashamed. The fact that this city lies in ruins and is destroyed it just points back to their sin, to their mistakes, and they're embarrassed about this. And as I was studying this, I could not help but see you and me in this story. How some of us, most of us, if you are saved and watching this video today, you have restored your relationship with God. The temple was what represented the presence of God to those people. The temple was the only way that those people could have relationship with God, through the temple and through those sacrifices and through the priests. And I think there are some of us that are watching this that we have restored our relationship with God. After all of the years we've spent in sin, after all of the things we've done, after all of the rebellious years and disobedient years that we spent running away from God, now we finally accepted Him and we've received salvation and we've rebuilt the temple or the presence of God in our life. We've rebuilt the relationship with God in our life, but we're still laying in the ruins everywhere else in our life that sin left behind. We're still laying in all of the rubble and all of the destruction that sin left behind. We're saved, but we've never restored those relationships that we've damaged. We're saved, but our marriages still stink. We're saved, but we've never addressed that issue with those certain sins that we struggle with. We're saved, but we've not forgiven people. We've not done anything to overcome the sin that's in our life and to begin rebuilding our life in a godly way. So yeah, it baffles me that Israel spent 70 years lying in their embarrassment and in their shame and in their guilt in the ruins of this city after they had rebuilt the temple of God. But the truth is, you and I do the same thing. Most of us at least have one area of our life that we have allowed to just stay destroyed. We've allowed the consequences of our sin to remain there, and we've not rebuilt it for whatever reason. And Nehemiah came in to Jerusalem at this time, and he points out this to all of the people living there. And he says, it's now time to arise and build. And today, all I want to do, and the rest of this week, all I want to do is poke you and prod you and provoke you, kind of like cows. And I want to tell you that it's time. You've rebuilt relationship with God, but now it's time to rebuild all of the other areas in your life that sin has destroyed. Arise and build. Hey, I hope you have a great day today. Make sure you come back tomorrow. I'll see you right here on Take 5.